8(4) of the National Assembly Powers and Privileges Act, and therefore Madam Speaker reprimanded Mr. Nakachinda and ordered him to unreservedly apologize to the House for his disrespectful and contemptuous remarks.
And Mr. Nakachinda refused to apologize, and Madam Speaker ordered him to leave the House. And after that, the House did consider the Anti-Terrorism and Non-Proliferation Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 32 of 2022, which was presented by the Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, which read the first time and referred to the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs until further notice.
The House also adopted the Committee on Legal Affairs, Human Rights and Governance, which was, of course, adopted on Thursday, 15th December 2022.
After that, the House did consider or did adopt a report of Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services. The motion made and question was proposed that this House do adopt the report on special report of the Committee on Health, Community Development and Social Services on the availability of medicines and medical supplies in health facilities countrywide for the second session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on 2nd December 2022, and it was presented by the chairperson of that committee, Dr. Christopher Kadi.
And we all remember that the national budget was passed last year, and therefore the Minister of Finance and National Planning brought actually to the House the appropriation bill, and this is the National Assembly Bill number 33 of 2022, and this was a bill to authorize expenditure from the consolidated fund of monies required to the services of the Republic during the financial year ending 31st December 2023.
After the consideration of that, the House did adjourn at 17:16 hours, and today the House is expected to resume sitting. And let's shift our attention, Pauline, and look at what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House.
Yes, we have 12 questions that are coming for consideration under Standing Order number 74, and one question that will be considered for written answer under Standing Order number 75. And now the details of the questions.
We do have question 105, which will come from Mr. Peter Perry, who is Mkaika Member of Parliament, and this question is directed to the Minister of Education. We'd like to find out whether the government has any plans to construct a boarding secondary school in Mkaika Parliamentary constituency, and if so, when the plans will be implemented.
And questions 106 is coming from Gwempe Member of Parliament, Mr. Tyson Simuzingili, and he wants to find out from the Minister of Technology and Science whether government has any plans to construct a trades training institute in Gwempe district, and if so, when the plans will be implemented and what the estimated cost of the project will be, and if so, if there are no plans, whether government will consider upgrading the Munyumbwe Skills Training Center to a trades training institute.
We also have one question for written answer, understanding Order 75, and another question that is expected to be considered on the floor of the House among many questions is question 116, which will come from Mr. Chala Chipili, Member of Parliament, and this one wants to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development when the construction of the police station in Chipili district will be completed, what the cause of the delay in completing the project is, what the estimated cost of the outstanding works is, and how much money was owed to the contractor as of March 2022.
And a question coming from Chama North Member of Parliament, Mr. Yota Mutachalo, wants to find out from the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development whether government has any plans to construct bridges across the following rivers in Mapinga Lilo Road in Chama North Parliamentary constituencies, and these are Willa, and Kamimba, and if so, when the plans will be implemented.
We also have Mr. Chinga Miyutu, Kalabo Central, asking the Minister of Education how many community schools were in Kalabo District as of October 2021. As you can see now, members of Parliament just interacting, just welcoming each other here. And thus, there you have it. Thus, the Madam Speaker's proceedings make their way to the chamber. For now, we'll cross over to the floor of the House.
dancing of Zambia, proud and free, land of wealth and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We won freedom's fight, oh, one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and blessed by those who land. Let us, all our people, join as one, brothers under the sun, oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace in Zambia's sky, like a noble eagle in its flight. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, Zambia, Zambia. Green and we stand under the flag of our land. Zambia, praise to thee, oh, one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Order. Honorable members, I have two announcements to make. First of all, before I make the announcements, I wish everyone a happy Valentine's. And a special thanks to the Honorable Member for Lumezi for the Valentine present that he sent to me early this morning. Order. Honorable members, I wish to acquaint the House with the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of the following members of Parliament of the Parliamentary Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry, and staff from the Parliament of Uganda. The Honorable Professor Mushemazi Dickens, MP, Chairperson and Leader of Delegation. Honorable Mungole Stephen, MP, Member. Honorable Edakasi Elalu Alfred, MP, Member. Honorable Kirumira Hassan, MP, Member. Honorable Mwijuke Francis, MP member. Honorable Amero Susan, MP member. Honorable Nyaye Mbale Sylvia, MP member. Honorable Mbake Tamwa Gafa, MP member. Honorable Okela Geoffrey Charles, member. Ms. Kuda Kabita, Legal Counsel. I wish, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, to receive our distinguished guests and warmly welcome them in our midst. Thank you. The next announcement is that honorable members will recall that on Tuesday, 29th November 2022, I informed the House that the Ministry of Technology and Science, in collaboration with the Zambia Information and Communication Technology Authority, ZICTA, had undertaken an exercise to determine areas that did not have access to telecommunication services countrywide. I further informed the House that the Ministry had requested the Members of Parliament to submit areas of priority in erecting communication towers in their constituencies by Friday, 2nd December 2022. Further, on Friday, 9th December 2022, I reminded the House to make their submissions before close of business. However, only 52 members have submitted the information thus far. In this regard, I wish to inform the House that honorable members who have not yet submitted the information should take their submissions to the Journals and Table Office Department from today, Tuesday, 14th to Friday, 15th February 2023. After Friday, 17th February 2023, there will be no further extension. I thank you. May Her Honor, the Vice President, indicate business of the House for this week.
Madam Speaker, before I give the House some idea of the business it will consider this week, let me take this opportunity to welcome all honorable members to the second meeting of the second session of the 13th National Assembly. And let me take an example from you by wishing all honorable members happy Valentine's Day. I hope that honorable members had a peaceful and restful festive period and are ready to proceed with the business of the House. Let me now turn to the business of the House, which the House is expected to consider this week. Madam Speaker, as indicated on the order paper for Tuesday, 14th February 2023, the House will consider questions. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 15th February, the business of the House will start with questions. This will be followed by presentation of government bills, if there will be any. Thereafter, the House will consider private members' motions, if there will be any. Madam Speaker, on Thursday, 16th February 2023, the business of the House will start with questions. This will be followed by presentation of government bills, if there will be any. Madam, on Friday, 17th February 2023, the business of the House will start with Her Honor, the Vice President's question time. This will be followed by questions. Then the House will consider presentation of government bills, if there will be any. I thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Matters of urgent public importance. The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And allow me, Madam Speaker, to bring fraternal greetings from the good people of Ron constituency to your office and the members of staff for the National Assembly of Zambia. Madam Speaker, the matter that I wish to raise is directed to my brother, the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations. Madam Speaker, last week the world was awoken to a devastating news where in Turkey there was an earthquake that broke out, including part of Syria. Madam Speaker, over 30,000 people have been feared dead and thousands of them injured with a lot of destructions to property. Madam Speaker, we are living in a global world where people are crisscrossing the world, either looking for employment, education, and if indeed athletics or in short football. Madam Speaker, it will be prudent for the Minister of Home Affairs, our Foreign Affairs and International Relationships to indicate to this august House and the country as to whether no Zambian soul has been lost in these earthquakes or indeed has been injured in that devastating occurrence. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me the first opportunity to raise the matter of urgent public importance. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise on this very important matter of urgent public importance on the Minister of Home Affairs. Madam Speaker, if you look at our Public Order Act, Chapter 113 of the laws of Zambia, clearly states people who are exempted from notifying the police when having public gatherings. And among the people who are exempted, Madam Speaker, are your members. When we are carrying out our duties in our constituencies, we are supposed to interact with our electorates freely without interference. Madam Speaker, what happened last week in Kasenengwa, where the police officers went to disrupt a bipartisan meeting by the Honorable Member, Ms. Honorable Twasa, who was holding a meeting in order to plan to get the views from the people of Kasenengwa. And this was a bipartisan meeting, Madam Speaker, where all political parties, including the ruling party members, were in attendance. The police went there to disrupt the meeting. Are we, Madam Speaker, safe as members of Parliament? Are we going to continue to discharge our duties without being interfered? If that is what the Minister of Home Affairs, who I can see smiling there, very happy, and gesturing me to sit down. Madam Speaker, I seek your serious ruling. We are here to help our colleagues govern. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Thank you, very kind Madam Speaker, and fraternal greetings indeed from the kind people of Lumezi. Madam Speaker, I raise my matter of public emergency importance on the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing. Madam Speaker, we have a bridge in Lumezi that is called Lusangazi Bridge. It connects people from the plateau to the valley of Lumezi. That's Mbuzi to Chief Chitungulu's area. Madam Speaker, every rainy season the bridge does collapse, and every rainy season we lose lives. I was in Lumezi last week. I could not manage to cross over to go and see the good people of Chitungulu area. And all the time we try to put timber, it does collapse. Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Minister of Housing and Infrastructure in order to be seated here when lives are being lost as a result of a collapsed bridge. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I'll start with the one that the matter of urgent public. Oh, this one. Okay, Honorable Member for Kalulushi, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving the people of Kalulushi an opportunity to ask on the matter of urgent public importance. Madam Speaker, as you are aware, the longest stretch of the Kitwe Chingola dual carriageway is in my constituency. And this issue of our truckers parking along the dual carriageway, the intention of government, Madam, when they did the dual carriageway is to lessen the accidents. It's supposed to be a dual carriageway, but now I was in my constituency from Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're only using one passage, which is very dangerous. Across is Chambishi town, Madam Speaker. We have young girls that are carrying buckets of hot water to sell to the truckers, which is very dangerous. Where the truckers, Madam Speaker, are packed, there are no toilets, there's no sanitation. We have been made alive to the fact that the numbers of cholera cases are escalating. Madam Speaker, not only cholera, these are men, these are truckers who have been out there for 10 days, even more, lined up along the dual carriageway, waiting for passage. Give me an opportunity. It's got everything to do with the people of Kalulushi. So listen. Madam Speaker, there's no sanitation. And these are young girls, even as late as 21 hours, crossing. Heaven knows what is happening to those young girls. And this is on the Minister of Copperbelt and Home Affairs. Are they in order to just keep quiet and smile, like nothing has happened? Like the people of Chambishi and Kalulushi do not matter. Almost on a daily basis, Madam Speaker, lives are being lost because there's only one passage. And your ministers are quiet, doing nothing about it, while our children, our mothers, even our own fathers, even the miners across is where NFCSI nometals, our miners are at risk. Madam Speaker, I hope that the Minister of Home Affairs, who's just across there smiling, can do something about it. And also the Minister of Copperbelt, could they intervene? This is a matter of urgent importance to the people of Kalulushi. Lives are at risk. I thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with the matter that has been raised by the Honorable Member for Ron concerning the earthquake that occurred in Turkey. The concern and worry that maybe Zambians might have been involved or affected by this earthquake. I see that the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, oh, okay, the Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, do you have anything to say at the moment? Or?
Madam Speaker, we would request some time to give a comprehensive report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So the Honorable Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs will come back to the House to give a ministerial statement on this matter on Thursday this week Thursday. The one from the Honorable Member of Chama South directed to the Minister of Home Affairs concerning the enforcement of the Public Order Act, in particular referring to what transpired in Kasanengwa constituency when the Honorable Member for Kasanengwa was addressing a meeting. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs is in attendance. I don't know, do you have anything to say, Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I appreciate the issue being raised by the Honorable Member of Parliament for Chama South, I would like to correct him that there is no law in this country that exempts him or any other member of parliament from notifying the police when they are holding meetings in their constituency. There's no law. What has happened, Madam Speaker, is that yourself, in consultation with my office, we have allowed members of parliament to interact with their constituencies without notifying the police. The law under Section 8 does not allow you, sir, not to notify the police. Madam Speaker, I've taken note with that rider on the issue he has raised. We'll make appropriate measures to ensure that members of parliament are not inconvenienced. But that is not provided for under the law.
Thank you for that clarification from the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs. We go to the point that was raised by the Honorable Member for Lumezi, directed to the Minister of Infrastructure, concerning a bridge in the constituency. I don't know, the Minister, maybe you can make a statement on that.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. As the House may know, this year's floods are unprecedented in the recent years. So a number of crossing points have been affected, a number of areas have been flooded. The bridge mentioned by the Honorable Member for Mezi, Sangazi, is not an exception. What I would advise him to do is when we have situations like that, where communities are either cut off or likely to be cut off, you should engage with the ministry immediately, rather than waiting to come and raise matters of urgent public importance. Thank you.
So thank you, honorable members. You are reminded that when a situation of that nature occurs, please do not wait to come and raise it as a matter of urgent public importance. As we have advised earlier, engage the respective ministry or minister to ensure that the problem is attended to as soon as possible. Now, the one raised by the honorable member for Kalulushi, I believe is directed at the Minister of Copper Belt Province or the Minister of Home Affairs. This is in relation to the parking of trucks. It's a dual carriageway, but one lane is taken by the trucks. So I'm not sure whether it's the Minister of Home Affairs or the Minister of Transport and Logistics. But maybe the Minister of Transport and Logistics, the Minister can go and carry out an investigation of what is actually happening on the ground and come back to the House with a ministerial statement, say even on Friday. This Friday. Is Friday okay, or we push it to next week? Next week, Tuesday. So next week, Tuesday, the Honorable Minister can come back and give a full briefing on what is happening in Kalulushi regarding the trucks. Thank you very much. That concludes the matters of urgent public importance. We proceed and go to the next question for oral answer, understanding order 74. The Honorable Member for Mkaika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Question number 105.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. P. Piri, Member of Parliament from Kaika, asked the Ministry of Education, A, whether the government has any plans to construct a boarding secondary school in Kaika parliamentary constituency, and if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government has plans to construct a boarding secondary school in Kaika parliamentary constituency through the Ministry of Education under the Zambia Education Enhancement Project, ZIP, funded by the World Bank. B, the plans to construct a boarding secondary school will commence in Q3 of 2023.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, if any? Honorable member from Kaika, you are satisfied? Okay. In that case, then we make progress. Next question, the honorable member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. From the good people of Gwembe, question 106.
The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member of Parliament for Gwembe asked a question in 4 parts. Part A, whether the government has any plans to construct a trade training institute in Gwembe district. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, what is the estimated cost of the project? And in D, if there are no such plans, whether government will consider upgrading Munyumbwe Skills Training to Trades Training Institute. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the August House that in Part A, in line with the 8th National Development Plan, the government has recognized investment in skills development as a key enabler to economic transformation and job creation agenda. All these interventions will contribute to the development of skills ideal for the creation of decent jobs and foster entrepreneurship, particularly for the youths whose unemployment levels are disproportionately higher. Consequently, government has been constructing trade training institutes in various parts of the country, such as Sesheke, Porokoso, Lundazi, Mumbwa, and Sumbu, in order to enhance access to skills training and further bridge the skills gap. These are chosen on the basis of location due to various demographic and socio-economic potential. Given that background, plans by government to construct a trade training institute in Gwembe will therefore be considered once a training needs assessment has been undertaken. This assessment will inform government's decision to either construct a new institute or expand / upgrade existing infrastructure. In B, Madam Speaker, the plans to construct a trade training institute in Gwembe will be considered after a needs assessment has been undertaken. In C, the estimated cost of the project will be known once a needs assessment has been undertaken. D, as stated in Part A and B of the response, government will undertake a needs assessment on whether to construct a new trades training institute or expand the existing infrastructure at Munyumbwe Skills Training Center. However, the Honourable Member of Parliament may wish to note that the people of Gwembe could still access training at the existing nearby trades training institutes such as Livingstone Institute for Business and Engineering Studies in Livingstone, St. Mawagari Trading Institute in Choma, Kasia College in Pemba, and Monze District. I thank you.
Thank you. There's too much whispering. Can we maintain order? Supplementary questions, if any? The Honourable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Honourable Minister, for the good answers you have provided. My question is, Honourable Minister, when will these needs assessments will be done? Secondly, Honourable Minister, you may note that the entire southern province we only have 3 trades training institutes to cater for the whole province. And besides that, we are all aware of the free education policy of the New Dawn government, that there are so many from the schooling system. Now, if we don't have plans, how are we going to manage the influx of free education that will be exiting the secondary school system?
The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science.
Madam, the needs assessment will be taken this year in 2023. The honorable member may wish to know that we have a total of 28 trade training institutes. And if you divide by 10 provinces, that is the average of 3. And Southern Province has got 3. So that is called equity. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister, for those responses. Madam Speaker, agreeing with my colleague, the member that just posed the question, I want to say that is the Minister considering perhaps opening up campuses in, for instance, he has said that they can still access Livingstone and other trades institute, but is the Ministry considering opening campuses, for instance, with regard to the institute that is not being used, indeed. And because we have a similar situation where we have Kaunga Farmers Training Center, which has been sitting idle, and we have Chipata Trades. So is the Ministry considering opening up campuses for quick, offering of these services? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Technology and Science, although it's an expanded question.
Indeed, Madam Speaker, it's an expanded question, but the honourable member may wish to know that Chipata Trades is being fully utilized, and wherever we have space, we are actually using that space for skills training. There is absolutely no empty space that has been left. I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, if the good people of Gwembe decided they came up with their own strategic plan of trying to use the CDF to come up with their training institute, would you be in a position to come in, to chip in and help them? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Science, Technology and Science.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If indeed they decided to set up an institute using CDF and indeed any other resource that they may have, we'll cheer them up and provide them with necessary teaching staff. I thank you.
Thank you. Before we go to the next item, I've seen that the Honorable Minister of Health is in the House. We have an issue over the COVID seating arrangements, and we are not yet sure what the status is in terms of COVID nationwide. So the Honorable Minister can deliver a ministerial statement on Thursday this week, just to advise, to give us the national status with regard to COVID, so that as we sit in the House, we are aware and we can implement whatever measures need to be taken to prevent the outbreak of COVID. Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chasefu.
Thanks so much, Madam Speaker. I bring fraternal greetings from the good people of Chasefu, and I want to extend to the Vice President and all members of Parliament that I greet you in the name of Jesus. Madam Speaker, question number 107.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Chasefu, Honorable Nyambose, is asking the following questions to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. A, why the construction of the Chasefu boarding secondary school in Chasefu district has stalled. B, when the project will resume. C, whether there are any plans to construct another secondary school in the district. And the D, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, we answer as follows. The answer to A, Madam Speaker, is the construction of Chasefu boarding school in Chasefu district stalled due to delayed payments. B, the project will resume when funds are made available and the contractor is paid the outstanding interim payment certificates. C, government has plans to construct another secondary school in Chasefu district. And the D, government is currently constructing a new secondary school, Lupamazi Mini Day Secondary School in Chasefu district. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Chasefu, do you have any?
Yes, Madam Speaker. I would like to find out from the Minister of Infrastructure as to when these interim payments will be done, because you may wish to know that Chasefu has no boarding school. All our children are going outside the district. And this is the only hope for the people of Chasefu, and that we are in a hurry to see it done so that we can be like any other district or constituency where they have a boarding school. So when do you think the government will make these interim payments? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I do sympathize with the Honorable Member for Chasefu, who is very hardworking, as we all know. In terms of when payments, interim payment certificates will be paid, this, Madam Speaker, is an ongoing exercise. It's part of the problem that we inherited, where we owe contractors a lot of money. I have said elsewhere that in the road sector we owe so much in terms of secondary schools and clinics and so on. We still owe quite a lot. But we have started the process of liquidating some of these interim payment certificates. And as more and more money becomes available, a lot more will also be directed towards paying the interim payment certificates. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Ron.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And allow me to, first of all, sincerely thank the Honorable Minister for Infrastructure for having come to my constituency when we are on the recess to come and check on what he provided for in terms of funding for the bridge that we have been crying on. Honorable Madam Speaker, I would want to find out from the Honorable Minister, I hope he's listening, I would want to find out from the Honorable Minister, when you mentioned that the project stalled because of the interim payment that was owed to the contractor. Honorable Minister, could you be in a position to state as to whether this project had the line budget before commencement? Was this project budgeted for? And if it was, where did the money go? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honorable Member for Ron. We had a wonderful time together in his constituency. When he asked about whether there was budget or not. These are some of the issues that this new Dawn government is grappling with. Our view is that before any project is started or before any contract is signed, it must be supported by a budget, and it must be supported by funds being readily available. In a number of contracts that were issued previously, the two elements were not satisfied, and that is why we have ended up owing so much money to so many contractors in this country, both on the road sector and also on the infrastructure side. So this particular one is one of those where we did not have resources to complete the project. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Namwala.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker. Through Madam Speaker to the Minister, Minister, may I know whether when funds are available, you'll be able to re-engage the same contractor, or you are going to re-advertise for the same project? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As the Honourable Member for Namara will have noticed, works on this particular project stalled because government was not able to satisfy the condition, thus by paying the interim payment certificates. That implies that the contractor completed a certain amount of work for which payment was due, and the government was not able to pay. So when funds are made available, if it's one of these projects that is not cancelled or terminated, it's only reasonable to expect that the existing contractor continues. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lundazi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greetings from the good people of Lundazi. Honorable Minister, Chasefu and Lundazi are good neighbors, and we share the same challenges. The question that I have for you hinges on how sad it is because our children, both in Chasefu and Lundazi, are just merging in my constituency, thereby taking some of the space of my children who are supposed to be enjoying the free education which is being offered at the moment. The question that I have for you, Honorable Minister, concerning the school in Chasefu is, do you have any specific budget or money reserved to complete the said secondary school in 2023 budget? I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, I thank the Honourable Member for Lundazi for that question. I think this demonstrates the difficulties that we find ourselves in. Right across this country, a number of schools, boarding schools, were left abandoned by the previous administration. I can give a number of examples. The Michael Chirufya Sata Girls Secondary School is one such place in Isoka constituency. Cassava Secondary School in Chifunaburi is one such place, and many others. I can go on constituency by constituency. So I ask members of this House to understand that to deal with a mammoth problem like this, it requires really to sit down and ensure that as resources are made available, we begin to tackle these particular problems. In Lundazi, for example, it's not just Chasef, which is your neighbor. The Honourable Member and I have visited that trade school, which was left abandoned also. The New Dawn administration, the New Dawn government, have made a commitment that all uncompleted infrastructure in terms of schools especially will be completed, because it forms an important element in the government's resolve to ensure that the adage that education is the greatest equalizer, as espoused by our president, is realized. So help us with this resource mobilization. I know that the Honorable Minister for Finance is also working flat out to find money to come and complete, especially these secondary schools. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next question. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 108.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Miutu, Kalabo Central asked the Minister of Education, A, how many community schools there were in Kalabo district as of October 2021, B, whether the government has any plans to upgrade the community schools to government schools, and C, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and D, what the cause of the delay in upgrading the schools is. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, there were 19 community schools in Kalabo district as of October 2021. B, the government has plans to convert community schools in Kalabo district into government schools. C, a community school can only be converted whenever the process and requirements are met that include, but are not limited to, land ownership, granting of education management information systems, identifier number, the school should be functional, there should be a Home Ministry's assessment report, clearance report from the Ministry of Justice, and gazette notice signed by the Minister. D, the cause of delay in converting these community schools to government primary schools
the Honorable Member for Kalabo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the response from the Honorable Minister is quite clear. But interacting with indication, reports have been submitted several times, but there seemed to be no quick response from the ministry headquarters. Wouldn't the ministry headquarters try to waive off some of those conditionalities which seem to be delaying the process of gazetting those schools to government schools? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister for Education, do you have any comment?
Yeah, thank you for that follow-up question. The Member of Parliament for Kalabo Central, those are necessary steps. So we will not waive them. You were once a teacher, I think you know how important those steps are. So, but I think we can do better to quicken the process. I'll ask my colleague from the Ministry of Justice just to quicken. I think we have about 2,900 such schools which are supposed to be upgraded. So I hope we can be fast into doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any Honorable Member for Nyimba?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greetings from the people of Nyimba and to the entire House. Said the Minister answered my question in advance before I asked the question. My question, just to add up, I think you agree with me that in most parts of rural areas in this country, the good number of schools are community-based schools. And with the enhanced CDF, I think we have been changing the narrative from grass thatched schools to a better schools. And my question to you, Minister, since you are going to consult with the Minister of Justice, and I know there are all necessary steps, and the necessary steps should be taken because they are necessary. Don't you think it would be prudent for you also to make sure that in case of Kalabo, you send qualified teachers on those community schools so that at least the quality of education is enhanced? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
So you diverted the question because I answered you in advance. We will do just like that. Quality education is what we want to see in the country. So each time that these schools are upgraded, if you like, to government schools, it is necessary that we send qualified teachers. Every child deserves qualified teachers, whether they are in urban areas or in rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, the people of Kalabo, my neighbor here, would like to find out whether you are willing to put them on financial help in terms of the school books for teachers, the feeding program, and any other requirements that is required. That you give to government already government institutions. Would you provide such services to these community schools, other than the teaching the teaching services that you provide? Any other financial help? Are you willing to help the people of Kalabo? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Now, your neighbor was entitled to another question, so he should have asked the question himself. Anyway, we will do everything possible under the sun to help community schools where they lack. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Mfuwe.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question number 109.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ms. Mabonga, Mfuwe constituents, ask the Minister of Education, A, whether the government has any plans to construct a secondary school in Mwele area in Mfuwe parliamentary constituency, and B, if so, when the project will commence, and C, what the estimated cost of the project is. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government has plans to build a secondary school in Mwele area of Mfuwe parliamentary constituency through the Ministry of Education under the Zambia Education Enhancement Project, ZIP funded by the World Bank. B, the plans to construct a secondary school in Mwele area in Mfuwe parliamentary constituency will commence in Q3 of 2023. And C, the estimated cost of the project is $326,000 United States dollars. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Mfuwe, do you have any?
Speaker. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for that response. I wanted to find out if the plans include the powering of the school with either solar or electricity. Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Obviously, a secondary school requires that they've got power, Whether the project will provide or not, that is something that we are looking at. But in all essence, power must be at every secondary school, whether solar or the national grid. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I pose a follow-up question to the Honorable Minister of Education, just with your indulgence, allow me, on behalf of my colleagues here, to convey our sincere condolences to the Mwansakapea family for the demise of Honorable Mwansakapea, who was a member of Parliament from Pika Central and also full cabinet minister who served in different portfolios, information, and Minister of Lands, who passed away yesterday. Honorable Minister, we are grateful that indeed you have got plans to construct a school in this area of Mwere, of Mfue district. When do you expect to budget for this? Which fiscal year do you expect to budget for this school so that the people of Mwere can be expectant? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
For the avoidance of doubt, the MP asked on B, if so, when the project will commence and the estimated cost. And my answer was the plans to construct a secondary school in Mwere area in Mfue parliamentary constituency will commence in Q3 of 2023. And C, the estimated cost of the project is $326,000 United States dollars. Does that answer your question? Certainly.
The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to find out from the Minister, since this is a World Bank funded school, from his explanation, what motivates the funding, the starting of the project in Q3? I would like to presume that the money is available for that project.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
If I got you right, you said why Q3? And not which quarter?
Speak through the speaker. Do not engage, please.
Yeah, we were motivated in Q3 because the money which was there at first was not enough to construct what we wanted to be a model secondary school. The first money that the World Bank brought was only going to cater for 4 houses, teachers' houses, that is to say, and 1 laboratory. But the Minister of Finance felt we should build a secondary school where we can put up 10 houses for the teachers, a school hall, and another laboratory. So that is the motivation, from 4 to 10. So he had to mop up a few coins here and there. And this is where now the planning is now going through. By the time that we finish doing all these things, it will be in Q3. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Musanzala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greetings from the good people of Msanzara. My follow-up question is, since Minister, you have said you start construction in Q3 of 2023, have you already identified
the contractor who is going to work on this same school? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Not yet. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Luena.
Much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, given that the construction of these schools that will be done under the World Bank, you just indicated that, in fact, initially the infrastructure provided for was a little bit on the lower side and that the government decided to intervene and have it increased. Are you in a position to share a list of what other facilities we expect in these schools in terms of the number of classrooms? You've already mentioned something about staff houses. And what other infrastructure are we looking at in the $329,000 you have suggested as the cost of constructing the school? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education, I don't know if you have that information.
Well, I may not have a list because the list is a nice list. It will include water, certainly, and the rest will follow. Very nice.
The Honorable Member for Iteshi.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Just a follow-up question, Minister. Most of these World Bank projects, they have a community participation model. Do you think this? What is your take on the community participation model on these World Bank funded projects? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
I'm not quite sure my take on community model. Yeah, that is the way it is tailored, but we tend to feel that they must be under stringent supervision, because we do have engineers at the ministry who go to supervise these constructions. Thank you.
Thank you. I see no further supplementary questions. We make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to convey fraternal greetings from the people of Chama North to you, Madam Speaker, and this August House. Question number 110.
Sorry. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for Chama North. If we don't hear his voice in this House, we don't feel all right. So, the Honourable Member wishes to ask the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development the following questions, two of them. Whether the government has any plans to construct bridges across the following rivers on the Mafinga Mulilo Road in Chama North Parliamentary Constituency. 1, Wheeler, place called Wheeler. Number 2, Kamimba. And the B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, we answer as follows. Government will consider plans to construct bridges across the Wheeler and Kamimba rivers on the Mafinga Mulilo Road in Chama North Parliamentary Constituency. And the B, the plans to construct bridges across Wheeler and Kamimba rivers on Mafinga Mulilo Road will be undertaken once the required funds have been secured. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Looking at our infrastructure budget this year, I think if my memory serves me right, we have 600 kilometers of roads to be done and allocated 250 million kwacha. The minister said that the government would consider. I wanted to know from which vote that the government will allocate that would go to bridges. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Madam Speaker, let me reiterate exactly what I said so that the Honorable Member for Chiluvi can maybe comprehend what I've said. The plans to construct bridges across the Wheeler and Kamimba rivers on the Mafinga Mulilo Road will be undertaken once the required funds have been secured. That was the answer. So where the budget comes in and so on, the budget will be provided once the funds are available. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chairman North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister, for that response. These rivers actually, they are in Chief Muliro's chiefdom, and this place is highly agricultural area. It leads in terms of some deep area. Are you considering to allocate acro bridges on the rivers? Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. That's a very specific question, whether or not would allocate acro bridges. Maybe a little bit of history on acro bridges so that the House may understand how this thing came about. A total of 131 acro bridges were purchased by the previous government. These acro bridges were site-specific. In other words, they were specific to certain sites. So before these bridges were manufactured in the States, certain sites were measured, and on the basis of that, the bridges were manufactured and delivered here in Zambia. So the bridges that are available, the 131, they are already allocated to certain sites within the six provinces that were catered for. So any new site now will not be considered for the existing 131 acro bridges. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The follow-up question to the Minister is how much is the required fund that we are looking for? Because you have stated in your submission that when the required funds are available, that's when we are going to construct that bridge. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Nakonde wishes to know how much exactly we are talking about. Here is an expanded answer. Government, through the Road Development Agency, is scheduled to carry out condition surveys on the Wheeler and Kamimba crossings on the Mafinga Mulilo Road before the end of the first quarter of 2023. The condition surveys will ascertain the required intervention on the crossings and the cost of implementing the projects. The construction works will be undertaken once funds have been secured. So really the answer to his question is the cost that he's asking for will only be known once these surveys are completed, which we hope by the end of this first quarter we shall know the figures. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Mandevu. Oh, okay, thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me also to pass a message of condolences to the Mwansakapea family. the people of Mpika, our former cabinet minister. Honorable Minister, these bridges that the honorable member for Chairman North has indicated actually connects the people of Chief Mulilo to Isoka, where they get all their services. As we speak, they cannot access not even health, advanced health services from Isoka. You've said as funds will be available. Would you be kind enough to give an indication? When are these funds going to be available? Or we can wait for the next 10, 15 years, or the funds can be available maybe this year? Honorable Minister, knowing that you are a practical man, when will these funds be available? I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. When are funds going to be made available? A little bit of explanation to the honorable member for Chama South, who is seated there smiling with the leader of opposition. We have, as government, we have defined the total budget for 2023. And within that budget, there's obviously the expenditure, there is the revenues. And as you have noticed, the revenues, locally generated revenues, are not adequate to cover the whole budget, and therefore there's been an element of external borrowing. I think we have to understand that if we are to have more revenues, there are various options. One of the first options is to get more taxes, which, as you know, you cannot get because we are already a heavily taxed country. What is government therefore doing, realizing that we cannot come in this house and ask for more taxes? The biggest problem that this government was left with was the level of debt. And the Honorable Minister of Finance and his team, able team, are working flat out to have the issue of debt resolved. When that is done, there will be two things. The level of debt servicing will reduce. That will make more money available for other expenditures. Number two, when that is resolved, it will enable this government to borrow, but borrow more responsibly than was done in the past. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I see no other questions. Next question, the Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 111.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Gwembe is asking the Ministry whether the government has any plans to introduce subsidy for fish farmers under the Farm Input Support Program. And in Part B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. Madam Speaker, in Part A, the government has plans to broaden the Farm Input Support Program to include subsidies for fish farmers. In Part B, government plans to implement initiatives in a phased manner commencing in the 2023-2024 farming season. The government initially plans to roll out the initiative in few provinces and scale up to the remaining provinces in the subsequent farming season in 2025.
and 2026. The government plans to gradually transition from the direct input supply modalities to the electronic modalities. In the new electronic modality, farmers will have an opportunity to select their preferred inputs from crops, fish, livestock farming. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chieng.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, through you, I would like to find out when the Minister has mentioned that in only certain provinces, I would like to get clarity which certain provinces was he referring to in terms of the farmers who are going to benefit from these subsidies. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are going to start with Central Province and Lusaka Province.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, and happy Valentine to you and members of Parliament. Yes. Madam.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Madam Speaker, I am making a follow-up on the minister's statement. He's saying in subsequent years they will graduate and then, but this year's budget speech by the Minister of Finance is clearly stating a complete shift to total CASIP. What is the exact government policy? Is it what was announced by the Minister of Finance in the budget speech that is promoting the total shift into 100% CASIP program, or what the Minister has just informed the nation now? I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The CASP, the one the Minister of Finance mentioned, that is a comprehensive program that includes a lot of factors that need to be carried out, which requires farmers to choose and promote our farmers. What I'm just saying here is the FISIP program, which is going to be broadened so that the two provinces that I have mentioned, when we go electronic, they will have the choice to choose what they want to do. So in CASIP, we have got a lot of things, even issues to do with electricity, even things to do with infrastructure. All those things are in a comprehensive agricultural support programs. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Member for Gwembe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, would like to thank you for giving hope to the aquaculture farmers in Zambia. You have indeed answered their cries, because you are indicating to us that aquaculture sector can be sustainable, because the feed is so high. And with these subsidies, Honorable Minister, you have indicated, I am a very happy member of Parliament, and I thank you, Honorable Minister.
The Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have observed on a lighter note, Madam Speaker, that people seem to be struggling for these Valentine messages. I think if from 2014, 2002, 2020, I'm the only Valentine MP up to date. I need to claim on that. You go and check your records. I think Honorable Mundugire can bear me witness. Having said
Honorable
that,
Member
Madam Speaker,
for Chilubi, we wish you happy Valentine's.
thank you very much. Yes. Having said that, I would like to find out from the minister. People of Chilubi seem to have gotten confused a bit when he is explaining the comprehensive agriculture support program, from the shift of the FISIP to the comprehensive agriculture support program, because he has said that it takes on board livestock farming, it takes on board fisheries and crop farming. From the budget, the CASIP is weighing more on extension services, and the budget for 2023 is speaking much to extension services. So I'd like to clarify, to seek clarification from him whether it's the money from his ministry that to support the CASIP, or it's the same CASIP under what the Minister of Finance projected under the Minister of Agriculture budget. I'm confused a bit on that score. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
It starts with him. He's confused, and he has also confused me. But, Madam Speaker, the question is about whether we are going to consider fish farmers. This is why I've said that under the FISIP program, Farmer Input Support Program, this year in the budget for 2023, we have decided to start. We have made a system to phase out provinces in a systematic way, where we are going to start with Central and the Lusaka province. That is Farm Input Support Program. Yes. So these issues are factored in the 2023 budget. This is where I've said even fish farmers now are going to have their choice to buy the inputs that they think they can support their activities. That is what I was trying to explain to you.
I see there is a point of order. Honorable Member for Pambache, what's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, I rise on the very popular, your standing order number 60, on the factual information as we give to this August House. Is the minister responsible for livestock in order to mislead himself and the Zambian people that your budget that was approved by this August House and presented by government through the Minister of Finance has anything to do with FISIP this year, when the policy in that budget speech is very clear. It is talking about CASIP program. Is he therefore, Madam Speaker, in order to mislead himself and the Zambian people against the government policy that is very well led by the Minister of Finance? I seek your serious ruling.
I don't know whether the minister wants to make a comment on that or.
Madam Speaker, the question reads whether the government has good plans under the Farm Input Support Program to support fish farmers. So I'm responding in relation to the question.
Yes. So my ruling is that since the minister is responding according to the question, is not out of order. The Honorable Member for Kabwata.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to know, Honorable Minister, I just wanted to find out whether, since you have confirmed that government is going to support the fish farmers with subsidies, I just wanted to find out whether your ministry has got any plans to come up with a legal framework that will support the fish farming industry. Unlike the legal framework that is there, it's actually drawn from the other part. So I wanted to find out whether you are going to come up with a law that will support the fish farming or aquaculture farming. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Livestock and Fisheries and Livestock.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for that question. In the first place, I was explaining on Farm Input Support Program, which sits in Ministry of Agriculture, where the Honorable Member of Parliament was asking whether the fish farmers will be supported. That's why I've gone further to explain that while the Farm Input Support Program sits in agriculture, they have made it flexible for the farmers to choose what they want to do, either to support, to buy inputs which are going to support our fish farmers. But this program sits in the Ministry of Agriculture. It does not sit in the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. Now, coming to the mandate, the policy is there. The Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock supports aquaculture. That's one of our mandates in the ministry. So the policy is there. Hence, we have got programs such as ZIADEP. We have been supporting our fish farmers through ZIADEP programs, where we have been even giving very, very good support in terms of loans, which just attracts about 5%. So that is the support we are giving our aquaculture fish farmers. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Honorable Minister, you are very much aware that, are we together, Minister? Honorable Minister, through Madam Speaker, the Minister is aware that the aquaculture industry has been infiltrated. We have a lot of foreigners who are doing fish farming. Now, with the plan to introduce FISIP for aquaculture, are these foreigners going to benefit as well? How are you going to treat them? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Livestock and Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think that question is just a direct question whereby the Honorable Member was supposed to know that what we do with fertilizer and seed, that's what we are going to do even with our fish farmers. These programs are for the citizens of this country. They are not for foreigners. So even when we support fish farmers, we will deal with our own citizens, not foreigners. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. We move to the next question. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, let me join a long list of colleagues who are bringing fraternal greetings to you and Her Honor, the Vice President. The people of Chama South actually instructed Ms. Genuine that he send greetings to Her Honor, the Vice President, and they are waiting for relief food there, including Rora meal. Madam Speaker, question number 112.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Davison Mungando, Member of Parliament for Chama South, is asking the Minister of Energy when the government will construct ZESCO substations in the following areas in order to facilitate the connection of Chama, Lundazi, and Chasefu districts to the national electricity grid. 1. Chasefu to Chama Central, Kalovia, Tembwe Chiefdom, Chama South Boarding School, and Chikwa Central. The proposed answer is, Madam Speaker, yes, the government of the Republic of Zambia, through ZESCO Limited, has plans to rectify the districts. Currently, a 132 kV transmission line from Chipata to Chama through Lundazi has been constructed. In addition, logistics and ordering of equipment with a long lead time for establishment of 132/33 kV substation at Lundazi, Edge Chicken, Mwasempangwe, and Chama is in progress. Actual construction is expected to start in the second quarter of 2023 and will run for 24 months once underway. From this substation, ZESCO will distribute to selected areas within the district.
Thank you. Supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Honorable Minister, thank you for that very inspiring response. So when should the people of Lundazi, Chikwa, Tembwe, and Chama expect to be connected to the national grid? When will these works be completed so that we know which month? Is it this year or next year when the people will be connected to the national grid? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I don't think the Honorable Member paid attention to my answer. I should read it again so that you understand. I'll be slow in reading it out. Actual construction is expected to start in the second quarter of 2023 and will run for 24 months once underway. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I have a concern seeing that most of government institutions, especially schools, even clinics, are not connected to the national grid. And listening to the way you've explained, are you in a position to assure the people of Chikwa and Zambia at large how the government institutions, especially schools, how they're going to be connected? We have the ICT issues, but we don't have power in all the government institutions, most of them. I need you to hear from you how you're going to assure the people of Chikwa and also the nation at large. Thank you.
The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is not a question of just connecting all rural schools to the national grid. We've got an integrated master plan that is being carried out by the Rural Education Authority. The plan is there. The Honorable Member is free to come and look at the time when these schools will be electrified. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Minister, for that answer. Honorable Minister, on 24th March last year, you gave a similar answer that the Chama will be connected to the national electricity grid after 24 months. But again, you are telling us 24 months, when on 24th March last year, you gave the same reason. Can you be precise, Minister? Because currently, Chama, as I'm talking, there's no electricity, there is no water. At Chama boarding, there's no water. The situation is so desperate. When are we going to be connected to the national electricity grid? Because I think we are tired of getting power from Malawi. So I think it is important the minister must give us a precise answer because you assured us on 24th March last year. So we can't continue to be talking about the same thing. So we want precise time when the construction of substation is going to commence.
The Honorable Minister of Energy, I think we are being repetitive now. The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Madam Speaker, I've already answered. I think I should read the same sentence I read out to the Honorable Mongande there. Actual construction is expected to start in the second quarter of 2023 and will run for 24 months once underway. After 24 months, the schools will be connected. I submit.
I think the Honorable Member for Chairman North was saying you had provided a similar answer previously. So now, what is the correct position? That's what he wants to know.
Madam Speaker, yes, I did give a similar statement to this question. And at the time, there were feasibility studies that were being done, and we had promised that the construction will still take 24 months. Now we are at a situation where we are now, sourcing the equipment in terms of transformers and other accessories. There is also a project to do the transmission lines, which will be part of the whole project. I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chama South.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, you've said 24 months. 24 months is 2 years from now, meaning it will be... So you don't know...
Order, Honorable Members, let's pay attention. Order.
Meaning it will be in 2026. My question is there something that you can do in order to ensure that... Honorable Speaker, I need protection. Is the Honorable...
Can we have some order, Honorable Members? Please, let's not answer on behalf of the Honorable Minister of Energy by saying nothing. You'll be discouraging the person who is asking the question.
Yes.
May the Honorable Member for Chama South continue.
Thank you. Knowing that we have a methodical government which can be articulate in shortening the period, is there something that you can do in order to alleviate the suffering of the people of Chama? We only have power, Madam Speaker, for about 20, 30 minutes, and it will come maybe 02. Then 03, Malawi power grid is very unreliable. I know you are aware of that. Is there something that you can do temporarily to ensure that the people, especially of Chama CBD, the hospital, secondary school, while maybe in Chikwa and the Tembwe, we are waiting for that procurement. Is there something that you can do? I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Can we have some order, please? The Honorable Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As a stopgap measure, Honorable, use part of your CDF. It is there. The government has increased more than it was before. So use part of that so that you can wait for the next 24 months and then you are going to be connected to the national grid. Submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shangombo. Oh, Shiwangandu, sorry, Shiwangandu.
Madam Speaker, the people of Chama would want to get an assurance from the Honorable Minister. Their situation is dire. How does the Minister start referring to the CDF he is not responsible for when he knows that his colleague, the Minister of Local Government, has provided guidelines? Is he in order, Madam Speaker? Or maybe, Minister, are you aware of the guidelines about CDF? Are you conversant for you to start proposing the utilization of CDF in that fashion? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Order. Honorable Member, I don't know whether you're raising a point of order or you are challenging the Honorable Minister for Energy. But what I know is that, well, I don't want to answer on behalf of the Minister. Maybe the Honorable Minister can answer, if he is aware.
Madam Speaker, we had discussed this issue of using CDF to do rural identification. And I can take this opportunity to inform the Honorable Minister, Honorable former Minister of Home Affairs, that we intend to utilize 1 million from each constituency to accelerate rural identification this year. I submit.
Thank you. I think that closes the matter. Let's make progress. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chifunavuli.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me also to pass my message to the Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, although he has just walked out. Senior Chief Mwewa and the traditional leaders from Chifunavuli, they are grateful that he came to pay a visit to do a spot check on the road and on Kasava Secondary School. Honorable Minister, wherever you are, the people of Chifunavuli are so grateful and humbled. Let me also take this opportunity to wish my friend, Honorable Mazoka, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 113. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like it's work on Valentine's Day. The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Member of Parliament, Ms. Nyemba, for Chifunavuli, asks the Ministry of Education, A, when government will provide teaching aids and equipment to schools in Chifunavuli district, B, whether there are any plans to establish units for children with special education needs in schools in the district, C, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and D, which schools are earmarked for the establishment of the units. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, the government provided teaching aids and equipment to schools in Chifunavuli district in the year 2021. You may wish to note that in addition to the procurement done centrally, the new Dawn administration has provided schools with guidelines to procure teaching and learning materials and equipment at their level. B, there are no immediate plans to establish units for children with special education needs in schools in Chifunavuli district because Robwe Girls and Kaungwe primary schools with established units are sufficient to meet the current demand for children with special education needs. C, given the response in Part B, Part C falls off. And D, on account of the response in Part B, Part D also falls off. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, if any. Honorable Member for Chifunavuli, do you have any?
Yes, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Minister. Minister, you have mentioned of Lubwe Girls Primary School, where Sister Judith Nkolonga, our Hebo Ed teacher, used her initiative to come up with the special education unit. Minister, when you go to Chifunavuli, have you looked at the infrastructure which is there? Because these children with special needs, they need special classrooms. For example, they lack even toys. The Braille kit is not there. Even in the room which is used to Honorable Minister is the former home economics classroom where I learned. So now here, if you don't have any immediate plans, Honorable Minister, to put up the infrastructure, don't you look at these parents to start feeling, you know, when you give birth to a child in a society, these are children that we are supposed also to take care of the way we have given to the able-bodied children. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Indeed, you are right. We need to provide for these special units. But as I stated earlier, in terms of the population, I think that too, if you like, adequate for the district. However, the issue is for us to expand. I do appreciate that in terms of special needs, one teacher one pupil is equivalent to 10 teachers in normal schools. So really we are lagging behind in terms of teachers, and this is why we want to have, if we finish this secondary school in Munari on a center of excellence, that is earmarked for the boys and girls with disabilities. So you are right indeed, and I think we are trying to do everything possible in order to help many of the disadvantaged kids. Thank you.
Any further supplementary questions? The Honorable Member for Chiengi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, I believe in your constituency you have a special school, like in Chiengi, I do have, but the problem that I know, which the Member of Parliament of Chifunabuli is talking about, is quite deep. We do not have teachers in general in Zambia, and most of the people who are supposed to do the special education have not been employed. So what I wanted to find out from you, are you going to give us more teachers, including the equipment? Or maybe there'll be a special arrangement with your counterpart from local government, because even desks, the desks that we have cannot be used by our children who are living with disabilities. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Well, I think that wasn't really like a question, it was a suggestion, and I agree with yourself that we need to do, for example, the desks that are required for our disadvantaged pupils. So I cannot agree more than what I can now. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kabwe Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do not want to practice wako and wako, therefore allow me to wish everybody happy Valentine's Day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, allow me to ask a follow-up question to the Minister of Education, especially that our honorable member asked if there are any plans to procure teaching aids in Chifunaburi constituency. And I want to say that if there's anything that brings smiles on my face is the free education, and that the minister is able even to provide finances to these schools, for example, to procure teaching materials. So I want to find out that if the money specifically meant for teaching materials can also be used to procure teaching aids in Chifunaburi. Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yeah, we did provide in Chifunaburi the carpentry tools, laboratory installations, laboratory equipment, laboratory supplies, design and technology equipment, and office furniture. So we did supply many of those things in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question to be asked by the Honorable Member from Kaika by prior arrangement.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Question number 114.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Ms. Perry of Milanzi constituency asks the Minister of Education, A, whether teachers deployed to schools in Milanzi parliamentary constituency are entitled to rural hardship allowance? B, if so, why the teachers are not paid the allowance? And C, what the eligibility criteria for payment of rural hardship allowances are? Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that A, yes, teachers deployed to schools in Milanzi parliamentary constituency are entitled to rural hardship allowance. B, some teachers are not paid the allowance because the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources classified their workstations as urban schools instead of rural schools. You may wish to note that the payroll management, establishment, and control can only pay the allowance if the school is classified as rural, as prescribed in the collective agreement between the government and the teacher trade unions. And C, the criteria for payment of rural hardship allowance are based on the distance of the school from the central business as prescribed in the collective agreement between the government and the teacher trade unions. You may wish to note that rural hardship allowance has a distance range from 25 kilometers to 99 kilometers, while the remote rural hardship allowance is 100 kilometers and above. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? Honorable member from Kaika, do you have any?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker and Minister. Thank you so much for your response. Yeah, since, Minister, you said these people qualify to be paid their rural hardship allowance, may I find out if their payment will also consider the arrears, or you backdate the payment for them? Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Well, I didn't say that to all of them, depending on where you are. So distance determines whether you are entitled to or not. Thank you.
Sorry, the Honorable Member for Kasanengwa.
You are harassing me. I'll report you to the police.
We can't hear you, Honorable Member for Kasanengwa. Supplementary question?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Through you, Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out from the Minister of Education, according to his responses. Honorable Minister, most of these schools in the rural areas are not established. As a result, you find most of the teachers who were transferred from the urban schools and sent to these rural areas are still being classified as being in the urban, and some still get their salaries from their urban schools where they were based before they were transferred to rural stations. Do you think that could be the reason why some teachers do not get their rural hardship allowances, because they are still considered as teachers who are based in urban schools? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Yeah, again, that wasn't really the question. Probably, yes, we need to check. Okay? I'm saying that you didn't really ask a question. You said probably because of that, that could be the case. I'm saying yes, we need to check on that.
The Honorable Member for Shwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, this is a very serious matter, I think, which most of the teachers have been grappling with. How often do you revise, and what system do you use to ensure that when a teacher is transferred from the CBD, as you put it, to a rural school, the same month, they could be put on the system to identify them as those teachers serving in schools which qualify for them to be entitled to rural hardship allowance. Because most of them stay for months before they can get to be paid after being transferred from one point to another. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Those are legacy problems, yes. Legacy problems. I think things were not really being done in the most effective manner. Under the normal circumstances, when a teacher is transferred, starting from the head teacher, through the depths, the provincial education officers, and then here at central government. But for a long time, things were left just like that. So we are trying to ameliorate a problem over several years ago. So actually what we have said today is what should have been done 10 years ago. So you can imagine the mammoth task that I have as education minister, and what you even know yourselves, education ministry is half the civil service of Zambia. So the mammoth, the task is too huge to deal with it just in one and maybe just 1 year. But those are the things that are being done. How I wish these things were said and done at that time. All these legacy problems could not have been there. Thank you.
Honorable Member from Kaika.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Minister, what then are you assuring the teachers in Milanzi? Because Milanzi, as per setup, I think according to the distance, they qualify, these teachers, to be getting rural hardship allowance. Now, what are you assuring the teachers in Milanzi so that they have hope that at some point they'll be paid their hardship allowance? Thank you so much.
The Honorable Minister for Education.
Just like I said, once we deal with this problem, it means that not only the Milanzi, it's across the breadth of this country. Those who qualify to get the rural hardship allowance, they need to get it. But as I said, I have it here said that the depths in Katete actually wrote this in 2013 to ask about this issue. So today is 2023. So this is why earlier I said we need to tackle this. But it may not take a day or two. It will take some time. So the assurance is there because, like I answered, we need to deal with the problem that has been lying there for a long time. So the assurance is there. You can go and tell the teachers. And sometimes these teachers work very hard, that I can tell you. And so they need part of that to keep them in the rural areas is to make them having an extra allowance for what you might call hardship. So many things are not in rural areas. Some of them don't have electricity, no waterborne toilets, and etc., etc. So that keeps a teacher stay in those rural or remote areas. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte, you have withdrawn.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's good for me to have an opportunity to interact with the Honorable Minister of Education. Honorable Minister, when you talk about 1 year to solve such a magnified problem in 1 year, that's a quantum. And hopefully you are referring that 1 year to the 5-year mandate that the UPND government has. Now that 1 year has gone, what is the degree of success that you have scored in solving that problem in comparison to the remaining period of three or so years? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Well, I have not yet calculated the degrees of how far, but I think we are dealing with the situation. We have done quite Some of them we have done them, but to what extent, I may not really have it off cuff. Thank you.
Thank you. We can make progress. The next question, the Honorable Member for Kasenengwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Question 115. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. And thank you, MP for Kasanenga, for question. The Honorable MP wants to ask the Minister of Health concerning when the only ambulance in Kasanengwa district, which was involved in a road traffic accident, will be replaced, and whether the government has any plans to procure an additional ambulance for the district. If so, when the plans will be implemented, and lastly, if there are no such plans, why? Our response is as follows, Madam Speaker. The ambulance in Kasanengwa district, which was involved in a road traffic accident, is expected to be replaced in June 2023. To question B, Madam Speaker, government has plans to procure ambulances to cater for hospitals countrywide that do not have adequate. Due to limited physical space, the procurement of ambulances is being implemented in a phased approach, and health facilities countrywide, including Kasenengwa district, are expected to benefit from this government initiative. To question C, Madam Speaker, the first procurement process for ambulances by government commenced in 2022, and this will consist of procurement of 100 ambulances. The House may wish to note that the procurement process for the said 100 ambulances is underway. The procurement was tendered and evaluated. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, there was no successful bidder, as the respondents did not meet the conditions that were put in the bids by ZAMSA. The procurement, Madam Speaker, is now scheduled to be re-advertised again this month, February 2023. To question D, Madam Speaker, as stated earlier, government has plans to procure ambulances to cater for hospitals countrywide that do not have adequate ambulance services. Therefore, question D falls off. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Supplementary questions, if any? Honorable Member for Kasanengwa.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and to Minister of Health, thank you for that response. However, I need to find out, when you say government has plans to procure ambulances this year, starting in June, is that under CDF, or it is a responsibility of the ministry to procure and supply to the districts? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Maybe the Honorable Member didn't hear me clearly. What I actually said was that it is government's responsibility to procure ambulances. And I also stated that we did start the process of procurement of 100 ambulances in the last year's budget. As you recall, there was resources for the procurement of 100 ambulances. And ZAMSA did advertise for the same, but what I said is that the tender was not successful, because the people that actually bid did not meet the requirements that were specified in the tender. And so as a result, the tender is being re-advertised, and we hope that this time around we can have people that would meet the requirements specified by ZAMSA. As regards Kasanengwa, I was saying that Kasanengwa does, like another district, in case of not having an ambulance would have to gain one of these ambulances. However, regarding Kasanengwa, the ambulance which was involved in the accident was actually insured for 800,000. At the time when the district health office in Kasanengwa put in a claim, it took a bit of time in the process of negotiating with the insurance. But this last month, January, the insurance company did release some resources, just a little bit under 800,000. So this is why I've said by June, Kasanengwa will definitely have a new ambulance. Now, at the time when ambulances were being purchased, they were going for around that price, 800,000. Unfortunately now, the same ambulance at Toyota Zambia, I think is going for 1.296013. So that is the new cost. Now, the district has only got 800,000. So they use a balance. And what has transpired is that through CEDA-funded Peace Health Maternal Health Project, the district hospital has been supported with a top-up of 248,000 as a contribution. And I'm also now told that Kasanengwa CDF committee earlier this month had also approved a contribution of 700. So they have 700,000, they have 248,000. They also have just under 800,000, which is exactly 748,800 in their custody. And that is well above the amount of value for an ambulance. And I'm aware that the procurement process has started with Toyota. But obviously, because this is an importation, that's why we were told that Toyota has indicated that the ambulance will only be in the country by June. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chipili.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. But first, let me salute you to allow all the questions that were asked by your members on matters of public importance. Thank you, Madam Speaker. May you live long. Question number 116. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, for the well wishes. I'm being lenient today. It's the first day and it's Valentine's Day, so. Yeah. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In response to the question by Honorable Member for Chipili, who wants to know when the construction of the police station in Chipili district will be completed, in A. In B, what the cause of the delay in completing the project is. In C, what the estimated cost of the outstanding works is. And D, how much money was owed to the contractor as of March 2022. the construction of the police station, 2 medium-cost houses, 8 low-cost houses, and associated external works in Chipiri district are expected to be completed by 31st December 2022. The delay in the completion of the construction of the police station in Chipiri district has been due to the following. 1, delays in honoring interim payments certificates for executed works. 2, cost fluctuations of building materials due to passage of time. And 3, the policy decision by government at the time to prioritize completion of projects that were 80% and above. C, the estimated cost for the outstanding work is 7,387,727 kwacha. As of March 2022, the contractor was not owed any amount, as all the interim payment certificates were honored. Thank you, Madam.
As the time is 16:40 hours, I suspend business for 20 minutes for a health break.
Thank you so much for still being with us on Parliament Television. Business has been suspended for 20 minutes, and just before the suspension of business, Her Honor the Vice President has just completed responding to a question which was posed by Mr. Chala Chipili, Member of Parliament, who wanted to find out from the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development when the construction of the police station in Chipili District will be completed. And Her Honor was responding to this question on behalf of the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. Pauline, let's quickly look at what has been considered on the floor of the House.
Yes, earlier on there were 2 announcements by the Honourable Madam Speaker, and details will come in later. For now, we take a break and we resume business at 17 hours.
I'm Francis Mrs. James, age 35. I'm born and bred in Thika. That's why I did my secondary school education here. So briefly, I'm Francis Mrs. I'm also a married man, a villager from Thika. Thika is a very dynamic constituency. First and foremost, police studies where the founding father of late President Michael came. Then it is also a geographical constituency because it's the biggest parish. Also, it is the one that is at the beach of Lake and also has the biggest workshop in the south. Also, it is a farming area, one of the